Good morning, students. Today, I'm once again starting the Happy Prince because the last time I did the Happy Prince, some of you were saying that you were not able to listen to me properly as the network had some issues. So, I'm starting it all over once again for all of you. So, The Happy Prince, as I told you, it is a story written by Oscar Wilde, isn't it? And you have already studied one of his stories in class 8, and the name of the story was The Shellfish Giant. So, this story, The Happy Prince, this story is about about the value of friendship. It is about love, altruism. When I say altruism, it means unselfishness. Altruism, altruism. It is about devotion, it is about compassion, it is about charity and self-sacrifice, okay, which led to redemption and stability. Okay, now here, the author, I mean the Oscar Wilde, also talks about the inequality of his times. As we have seen in our previous class, as I was discussing in the live class, he talks about the seamstress, okay, who is very poor, and she is so poor that she was not even able to give a few oranges to her feverish child. Okay, on the other side, there is another side of the society which was reflected by Oscar Wilde. And what was it? That the court ball was ready, and the queen and her maids, they were preparing for the ball dance, isn't it? And the seamstress was sewing the the gown for the maids of the queens. So there was a contrast between what? There was a contrast between the haves and the have-nots. Okay, so now there the seamstress was representing one side of the society. Which side of the society? The poverty-stricken side of the society. Okay, and the queen and her maids were reflecting the well off, okay, the wealthy side of the society. So in a way, Oscar Wilde was also talking about what about the inequality of his time, okay, with reference to poverty, injustice, wealth allocation and materialism through this story. Okay, so we will come across many contradictions, many prominent contradictions in this story. Okay, and we will discover it as we proceed with the story. Okay, now please all of you take out your textbook and follow the text from your book, because here the photo, the picture is not very clear, I think. So let us read the introduction. The Happy Prince was a beautiful statue. So the Happy Prince is actually it is a beautiful statue. He was covered with gold. He had sapphires for eyes. So sapphires, we know sapphires are what? Precious stones. Okay, so his eyes were made of sapphires, because it is a statue. It is a beautiful statue which was gilded with gold, which was covered with leaves of gold. Okay, and his eyes were made of sapphires, and he had a ruby in his sword. The hilt of his sword, okay, the handle of his sword had a ruby in it. So why did he want to part with the gold that he had and his precious stones? So we will come across in the story that the Happy Prince wants to give away the gold that is there, in his body, and also the precious stones. Why does he want to do that? Why he want to give away all his gold and the precious stones that he was possessing? Let's see what happens in the story. Okay, now the first paragraph. High above the city, on a tall column, stood the statue of the Happy Prince. He was gilded. Gilded means covered, you can say. Okay, he was covered with all over with thin leaves of fine gold. For his eyes, he had two bright sapphires, and a large red ruby glowed on his sword hilt. Okay, so now high above the city, on a tall column. Okay, so we are talking about, the writer is talking about a city, and in that particular city, on a tall column, on a tall pedestal, you can say, or a platform, you can say, a raised platform, there stood the statue of the Happy Prince. Okay, the statue of the Happy Prince was planted there on a high pedestal. He was gilded all over with thin leaves of fine gold. He was covered all over with what? With thin leaves of fine gold. And his eyes were made of two bright sapphires. Sapphires are very costly, very expensive stones. And he also had a large red ruby that was glowing on his sword hilt. Okay, and in the handle of his sword there was a red ruby that was glowing. Okay, glowing very bright. So one night what happened, there flew over that city a little swallow. Swallow is a bird. So one night it so happened that over that city a bird was, a little swallow was flying across that city. His friends had gone away to Egypt 6 weeks before. Now the friends of this little swallow had already gone to Egypt, okay, 6 weeks back. But he stayed behind because of some reasons, and now he decided that he should also go to Egypt and and should join his other friends. Students, here I want to talk about the migration of the birds, isn't it? We all know that birds keep on migrating from one place to another place depending on the climate. So they, when there is extreme cold in one area, they move to some other area, isn't it? Especially during winter times they move from northern side to the southern side, because during winter the northern side becomes even more cold, so they start flying towards the south. So here this bird was supposed to follow his other friends to Egypt, but he didn't go for some reason. So after 6 weeks he decided that he should also move to Egypt immediately and should join his other friends. All day long he flew, this bird, which was now all alone, because the other birds, and one thing, the birds always they fly in flocks, isn't it? They fly together. But here this bird was left all alone. Okay, now he was flying all alone, and he was flying all day long. And at night time he was tired, and he arrived at that city. At which city? At the city where the statue of the Happy Prince was there. Okay. Where shall I put up? He said. I hope the town has made preparations. So here he is making some kind of humorous remark. What is he saying? That where shall I put up? Where shall I put up? Put up means here what? Stay. Where should I stay? In this biting, frosty night. And then he tells to himself, I'm sure that this town has made some preparation for me. I'm just like a guest to this town, and this town must have made some kind of preparation for me. So here he's ironically he's making this statement. That means no one is at all bothered for this bird, isn't it? Because everyone is so busy with their own lives. Who would be bothered about a small little swallow? Nobody made any preparation. But then in a very humorous way he tells that I hope that the town has made preparation to welcome me. Then suddenly his eyes fell on the statue of the tall column. He suddenly saw the statue on the tall column. I will put up there. So he decided that he will stay over there. He cried. It is a fine position with plenty of fresh air. So he alighted just between the feet of the Happy Prince. So he thought that it was a very nice place to spend the night. So he alighted. Alighted means he descended, or he came down. He came down to the statue, and he took a position just between the feet of the Happy Prince. So he thought that this is a nice place because there is plenty of fresh air also for me, because in a confined room it would be very difficult for the bird to live in that confined room, because there they won't get sufficient air. But here, since it is under open sky, so he will also get sufficient air. So he decided to spend the night in between the feet of the Happy Prince. Oh my God, I have a golden bedroom. So he is once again he is exaggerating. You can see, students, isn't it? See, although he is not in a good situation now. This is one thing that the swallow is teaching us, isn't it? Although he's trying to make the best of a given situation. Although he is left alone, although he is not getting a place in a nest to live. Okay, not a very secure place, but still he is very happy to be there. And what is he saying? Oh, I have a golden bedroom. Why is he saying that he has a golden bedroom? Because he's sleeping he's trying to sleep under the statue, and the statue was made of gold. So he said softly to himself as he looked around, and he prepared to go to sleep. So he was ready to go to sleep. But just at that moment, when he was putting his head under his wing, a large drop of water fell on him. Okay, suddenly a large drop of water fell upon him. What a curious thing, he cried. There is not a single cloud in the sky. The stars are quite clear and bright, and yet it is raining. So he is surprised. Why is he surprised? Because the sky was clear. No, it was clear and bright, and it was not even raining. Then and there was not a single cloud in the sky. Then where from did that drop of water fell on him? Okay. Soon after that, another drop of water fell. What is the use of a statue if it cannot keep the rain off? So he is saying that what is the use of me putting up here if it cannot protect me from the rain? If the statue is not able to keep off the rain, he said, I must look for some other, some other place to spend my time. Maybe a good chimney pot. Okay, it is better that I go inside a chimney pot and spend my time there. Chimney, you all know, isn't it? A chimney is usually it is placed from your kitchen. It is a kind of an outlet that is fixed from your kitchen, so that the smoke is taken out from your kitchen room. And he determined to fly away, and so he determined that he will fly away and he will try to go inside a chimney and he will try to spend his time there. But before he had opened his wings, a third drop of water fell, and he looked up and saw. What did he see? So just as he was going to open his wings, as he was ready to take up the flight, a third drop of water fell upon him. And now this time he really became very surprised, and he looked up and tried to find out from where the water was coming. And then he saw there that the eyes of the happy prince were welled with tears. It was filled with tears. The eyes of the happy prince were filled with tears, and tears were rolling down his golden cheeks. Okay, tears were coming down his golden cheeks. His face was so beautiful in the moonlight that the little swallow was filled with pity. For the first time, the swallow saw the face of the happy prince. Okay, because he was in a hurry to just to spend the night under the feet of the happy prince, and he didn't even notice the face of the happy prince before. But for the first time, the moonlit night, the light of the moon fell on the face of the happy prince, and his face was the face of the happy prince was glowing, and at the same time he could also see tears rolling down his golden cheeks. His face looked so beautiful in the moonlight, and the little swallow immediately felt some kind of pity for the statue. Who are you? He said. I am the happy prince. Why are you weeping then? Why are you crying? He is inquiring that who are you? The happy prince replied that he was the happy prince, and then he asks that why are you weeping? Why are you crying? You have quite drenched me, that I'm wet. Okay, you got me wet because you are crying, and the tears drenched me. Now here please underline this line, students. The happy prince goes on telling about himself. What does he say? When I was alive and had a human heart, that means when I was alive and when I had a human heart, that means a heart that was beating, answered the statue, I didn't know what tears were. I didn't know what sadness was. Okay, I didn't know what misery was, because I lived in a palace where sorrow was not allowed to enter. Because I lived in a palace where sorrow was not allowed to enter. Okay, I lived a very happy life. Okay, my parents have always ensured that I am not touched by any kind of sorrow. So all my dreams were being fulfilled inside that palace. Okay, and I didn't know what was going outside that palace. Okay, my courtiers called me the happy prince, and happy indeed I was. So see students, here once again we can see here that the author Oscar Wilde is bringing in some kind of contrast, isn't it? The contrast between the life inside the palace and life outside the palace. Now this happy prince never knew what was happening outside his palace. Inside the palace, since he was born in a rich family, he had everything adequately, okay, abundantly. He had everything in abundance, okay, every luxury. So he was very happy inside the palace. So I lived and so I died. So I lived in that palace, and when I died, and now that I'm dead, they have put me up here so high that I can see the ugliness and all the misery of my city. And though my heart is made of lead, yet I cannot choose but weep. And so he's saying that after I was dead, my courtiers have put me up here so high that from here, okay, I can see the entire city. And not only can I see the entire city, but I can also see the ugliness and all the misery of the people in my city. Okay, and although my heart is now not a human heart, it is a heart made of lead, yet I cannot choose but weep. But I have no option now but to only to cry, because I cannot do anything, because my legs are fastened here in the pedestal of that high column. What? he's saying this to himself. Okay, this is a soliloquy. I have told you what is a soliloquy, or you can say what is a monologue. That means when you're speaking to yourself, the character is speaking to himself. The other character is not understanding that, not hearing what is he saying, but we as audience, we are able to hear it. Okay, so I gave you an example also of how the how the movies, how it is, how it is used in the movie, how this technique of soliloquy or monologue is used in the movie. What happens in soliloquy? One of the characters will speak in his mind something, and we as audience, we will know what he is saying, but the other character will not know, isn't it? मतलब मन के अंदर कुछ बातें करना. So he is saying this to himself. What is he? Is he not solid gold? Said the swallow to himself. Okay, तो ये क्या? ये पूरा gold का नहीं है. He was too polite to make any personal remarks. But then the swallow was too polite, and he didn't want to make any kind of, any kind of personal remark on that. And then the Happy Prince continues. Far away, continued the statue in a very low musical voice. Okay, in a very, in a sing-song manner, in a very musical tone, the statue continued. What did he say? That far away, in a little street, I can see there is a poor house. So he's saying that I can see there is a poor house. One of the windows is open. Okay, so student, mark here, one of the windows is, isn't it? So this kind of construction you are going to get in editing part also. See, one of the windows. So in your editing part, you may get a sentence like one of the window. So immediately you have to understand which is the incorrect word. The incorrect word is here window. It should be windows. Okay, and sometimes you may get it like that, one of the windows are open. So once again, you have to understand that it will be, the helping verb here will be is and not are. Okay, so one of the windows is open. Okay, remember this structure, underline this structure. So one of the windows is open, and through it I can see a woman seated at a table. So through that window, through that open window, I can see that a woman is working on a table. Her face is thin and torn. Okay, her face is worn out. Okay, and thin, it's wrinkled and thin. And she has coarse means what? Rough red hands. Why? Because all the time he is working with her needles. She is a seamstress. Okay, she is a seamstress. So she is working with her needles, and those needles had pricked her hand several times, and so her hands have turned red. So she is a seamstress. Seamstress is one who does embroidery work and all. Okay, she is embroidering flowers on a satin gown for the loveliest of the queen's maids of honor to wear at the court ball next. Now once again, here is a contrast, isn't it? Contrast. The author is showing us the contrast in the society, the inequality during that time, isn't it? So social inequality of his time is so beautifully portrayed here through these lines. You see. So in one side we have the picture of a seamstress, a poor seamstress, okay, who is very poor, and on the other side we have the queen's maids of honor, queen and her maids of honor. Okay. So this poor lady is embroidering, is stitching some kind of flowers on a gown, satin gown. Satin is a kind of a fabric, okay, type of cloth, that's silky cloth. So satin gown for the loveliest of the queen's maids of honor. Why? Because they are going to wear those dresses at the next court ball, in the ball dance that happens in the court. In a bed just beside where the lady was working with her clothes, there was a bed in the corner of the room, and there her little boy was lying, and he was lying ill. He has a fever, and he is asking his mother to give him some oranges. But his mother is so poor that she has nothing to give him except river water. And so the little boy is crying. Okay, forget about good water, forget about oranges. The mother is only able to give him some river water. And not only that, the mother doesn't even have time to sit beside her son and to console the child, or to give him some affection, because he has to finish her order, isn't it? He has to deliver those gowns to the maids of honor. So the prince tells the swallow, "Swallow, swallow, little swallow, will you not bring her the ruby out of my sword's hilt? My feet are fastened to this pedestal, and I cannot move." So what does the swallow say? What does the prince say? He's requesting the swallow, swallow, little swallow, will you not take out the ruby from my sword hilt? There was a ruby, I told you, isn't it? There was a ruby we have already read on the handle of his sword. So he's requesting the swallow to take out the ruby from the sword hilt, and to go and fly and give it to the poor lady. And he's further saying that my feet are fastened. My feet are fastened, fixed here to this pedestal, and I cannot move. I cannot go and help anyone. So will you please help me? Okay. Let's see how the swallow reacts. I'm waited for in Egypt, said the swallow. My friends are flying up and down the Nile and talking to the large lotus flowers. Soon they will go to sleep. Now, you see, initially the swallow is not fully convinced. Okay. So what is he saying? No, I don't have time for that, because my friends are all waiting for Egypt and they are having such nice time. They are having gala time there. Okay, they are flying up and down the Nile river and they are talking to the large lotus flowers. So I should soon go and join them. Okay. The prince asks the swallow to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. The boy is so thirsty and the mother is so sad, he said. So what did the prince say? That please, swallow, please stay with me for one night, okay? And be my messenger. Please go and deliver this ruby to that family, to that mother. The boy is so thirsty and the mother is so sad because the mother is not able to give the boy oranges or anything, or not even her time. I don't think I like boys, answered the swallow. I want to go to Egypt. So why do you think that the bird is saying that he doesn't like boys? Well, boys are very naughty, and the swallow must have had some bad experiences of boys either throwing stones upon the birds and all those things. Boys do that, isn't it? So he's saying that I don't think I like boys, answered the swallow. I want to go to Egypt. But the happy prince looked so sad that the little swallow was sorry. It is very cold here, he said, but he agreed to stay with him for one night and be his messenger. Okay? But then, now here you can see that one characteristic of the bird is reflected. Okay? Although he is a sharp tongued bird, isn't it? He is very sharp when he talks to someone. He says, no, I don't have time for all this, and I don't think I like boys. I have to fly immediately to Egypt because my friends are waiting for me. But at the same time, it also talks about the inherent beauty of the soul of the swallow, isn't it? He is inside a very good bird. Okay, he has a very soft heart. And so when he looked at the happy prince and he saw that the happy prince was so sad, he decided that he will stay there for one night and be the messenger. So he says, okay, fine, it is very cold here, but still, okay, fine, I agree to stay with you for one night and be your messenger. Okay, so here you can see that the swallow is also actually a very kind-hearted bird, isn't it? Thank you, little swallow, said the prince. The swallow picked out the great ruby from the prince's sword and flew away with it in his beak over the roofs of the town. He passed by the cathedral tower where the white marble angels were sculpted. He passed by the palace and heard the sound of dancing. A beautiful girl came out on the balcony with her lover. So here we get a beautiful picture of the city also at the same time, isn't it? That beautiful city. Okay, apparently this city looks so beautiful with its cathedral tower, marble angels, the sculptures of marble angels. There were beautiful girl, who came out on the balcony with their lovers. There were sound of dancing and music, everything. But there was something hidden inside that city. What was that? The misery, the sadness. There was some kind of melancholy that pervaded in that city, isn't it? The sadness which was reflected by the seamstress and the little boy, isn't it? Although the city apparently looked so beautiful, so peaceful, okay, it seemed as if everyone was happy in that city, but it was not so. So here is a paradoxical reference, isn't it? A paradox, a contrasting idea expressed by Oscar Wilde here. Okay, a city which looked so beautiful actually was inhabited by people who were so sad. Okay, I hope my dress will be ready in time. I just want to make it short, students. I will upload this video and then I will make one more video because otherwise it takes time to upload. Please follow my next video.